In the last video, we were able to write out some code to fetch a single to-do and print it out at the terminal. Now everything works pretty well, but this console log right here is kind of ugly and it's hard to understand in this kind of object format. So in this video, I want to pull off the ID, title, and completed flags and print them out in a nicer format, kind of like a little report of sorts. So let's try making some changes to our code base. I'm going to flip back over to my editor, and to get started, I'm going to first get a direct reference to the to-do, which is that data property right there. So I'm going to essentially pull off that data property and assign it to a separate variable, again, just to make it easier to work with. So I'll say const to-do is response.data. So now that we've got the to-do, we can pull off the ID, the title, and completed properties. I'll assign them to some temporary variables, and then we can insert them all into a single string and console log that string to essentially put together our report. So I'm going to pull off those three properties that we just took a look at. So I'll say const ID is todo.id. I'll get title as todo.title. And I'll say finished is todo.finished, like so. Now, if you're looking at these three lines of code and thinking, hey, Steven, you just messed something up right here, that's totally fine. Just bear with me for a second. If you're looking at this code and you don't see anything wrong, that's totally fine as well. Again, just bear with me for a moment. So now underneath that, we can start to print out a nice little report here. So I'll do a console log. To print out this as a nice little report, I want to use a multi-line string that is capable of using string templating. So I want to kind of inject some variables into the string. To do so, we can use a template string, just as you might be familiar with from ES 2015. So inside of here, I'm going to put a set of backticks. Remember, these are backticks. It's the character to the left of the 1 on your keyboard. They are not single quotes. I'm going to turn this into a multi-line string. And I'll say something like the to-do with ID, a colon, and then I'll print out the ID. And I'll just like print out the title underneath. I'll say has a title of $title. And I'll print out whether or not it is finished. So I'll say something like, is it finished? And I'll print in the finished variable, like so. All right, so that's a little bit nicer to read report right there than the plain console log that we had before. So let's save this file and then attempt to run it at our terminal. So I'm going to flip back over to my terminal, and I'll run the file in one step using tsnode once again. So I'll say tsnode index.ts. Remember, we are feeding in the Typescript file here. We're not making use of the plain JavaScript file anymore. So I'll run this command, and sure enough, I end up seeing undefined, undefined, undefined. Well, what's up with that? That's kind of unexpected. We just saw all that data appear correctly a moment ago when we did the console log. So that means that we must have made a mistake somewhere in here. So what is going wrong? Well, let's take a quick pause right here. When we come back in the next video, we're going to make sure it's really clear what's wrong with this program, and then we're going to start to discuss how we can easily use TypeScript to avoid making the error that we just made inside of here. So quick pause, and I'll see you in just a minute.